Hey YouTube, I'm gonna read the story of Jesus' death just because there's a lot of times we forget during our trials of pain and all our sickness, and when we start slipping we forget about the sacrifice he made. Sometimes we don't put that in mind as we're going through things, and so I want to spend some time just looking a little further into detail of his death, not in historical wise, but comparing it to our day and different stuff we so easily complain about that doesn't compare to what he took for us. I'm not going to do the whole thing in one video, that would be way too long, but I'll do 2 or 3 videos over it. So I'm going to start at Jesus before Pilate, verse 11 in chapter 27. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Yes, it is as you say," Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the feast to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. That time they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?" For he knew it was out of envy that they had handed Jesus over to him. Meanwhile, Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat. His wife sent him this message saying, "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus who is called Christ?" Pilate asked. They all answered, "Crucify him." I want to stop there because Pat Shasline's amazing speaker. He does a message called "No, Not Him, Give Us Barabbas," and close to the end of that he has a small little audio clip in there that it's Barabbas talking about what he had just witnessed and what he had just saw. I just want to take you into that real quick. If you can imagine being this man that's put on death sentence, there's no way you're going to live. I mean, it's the end of your life. It's your last day. You're sitting in your jail cell, and then the guard comes and they pull you out, and you're thinking, "Here we go. This is my death." As you're walking out there, they put you next to this man. A man who calls himself the king of the Jews. An innocent man. And he says, "For the first time, I never thought I'd ever hear a crowd yelling to release me, this horrible person that I've become, this horrible person I am, to crucify him." And as he's going on discussing this, I can't help but think to myself, we're all Barabbas. We're all waiting for our death. When the time finally seems to come, when we seem to reach the end of our ropes, Jesus steps in and takes our place. While I've probably never cried this hard in a video before, this is something that affects me a lot because I've turned my back on him so many times, but yet throughout it all he still cares for me. He still steps in for me. Like Barabbas, I'm waiting for my death. In fact, I was probably trying to make it come sooner more than later. Then Jesus stepped in and took that place for me. It is so easy to forget that. The devil puts all these thoughts in your minds, puts all this stuff in your head to make you forget all the blessings you have, make you forget what he's done for you. And it's so easy to go so far and then quit because you've let the devil take over your thoughts. I had an addiction to pornography. And the week after I decided to finally quit with the help of the Holy Spirit, I was having trouble eating. And I was having trouble sleeping. I would wake up in the middle of the night because I had a dream about relapsing back into it. And I'd get no energy out of the little sleep I got because in my dream I was using every ounce of it in a mental struggle against myself. And after 3 weeks, I was pretty sure it was the end. That night, I very slowly, with all I had left, crawled into bed and began to pray for others. Once I had thought I had covered everyone I could think of, I remember looking up and saying, if I die tonight, let the person who takes my place do much better than I have. I asked him to forgive me for everything I had done wrong. And I fell asleep. Much to my surprise, the next morning I wake up after only about 3 hours of sleep, and I had had no dreams at all. I had actually slept peacefully for the first time in 3 weeks. And I walked on thinking, it's done. I'm out of it. It's over. And very slowly I started to do what I always do after he rescues me. I slowly began to let my guard down. I slowly let pride sink in. I slowly come back to where I was before. In the last 2 weeks, the videos may not have been as good. May not have had something as divine or as Holy Spirit inspired as they should be, because I slid back. And I can just see myself in his place, walking through the jail towards the place where the crowd's standing, hearing Pilate asking, "Who do you want me to release to you?" I'm looking over at the guy next to me and thinking, live a good life. Live it better than I did. And then him looking back at me and saying, I'm dying for you, so you live a good life as I would have. And as I would sit there pondering what he had said, I would be shocked by the crowds yelling to crucify him and to let me go. See, when you start sliding back, you forget about what he's done for us. We all know the rest of that story. We all know it. They let Barabbas go. And Jesus gets crucified. But if you put yourself in that picture, every time you're struggling through something, it gives you a lot of different ideas of what it would have been like. Gives you a better appreciation, I guess. Because thinking about it all this time, I've been wishing to die in my 7th and 8th grade year. And all those times I was pretty sure I was on my death row. And he stepped in and he said, no, you live for me because I died for you. And I hope that every time you read this story, that you think about that. put yourself in Barabbas' position. The Bible doesn't really say what Barabbas did after that. But if he did know about Christ, and he did know that what Christ had just done for him, I think Barabbas would have turned his life around. And I know I need to turn around mine. So with that being said, I'm going to finish up this story over the next couple of weeks. And if it doesn't get better, if I don't get myself out of it, if I don't get the Holy Spirit back on me to get me out of it, I will no longer be making the videos. I will end up passing it on to someone else. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope this makes you think, and I'll see you next week.